Today's generation focus on the current Jugalbandi of Modi and Amit Shah, and as you say, our parents' generation focus on Vajpayee and Advani. Their parents' generation look at yet another Jugalbandi of Hindu nationalism, which is Shyam Prasad Mukherjee and Deen Dayal Upadhyay. They criticize Nehru a lot. They never criticize his daughter. The Prime Minister Modi is closest to in terms of style is Indira Gandhi. There's more continuity than you think, right? Superficially, they're very different characters, right? But Advani and Vajpayee in many ways were shaped by the context in which they operated. Vajpayee, as I said, has spent 50 years in parliament, Advani a long time, right? Before they entered government. Whereas Modi and Amit Shah has not done a day's work in Delhi before Narendra Modi became Prime Minister in 2014. Their vision of India is the Gujarat state legislature, which is Congress versus BJP. It doesn't have these multiplicity of parties that you see in parliament, and they feel no need to negotiate it. A lot of those differences can be explained in the circumstances in which their respective BJPs operated.
From your book, what I could perceive was
Yes.
Advani ji was more of a hardliner,
Yes.
but Vajpayee ji was more of somebody who would be acceptable to the masses of
Yes.
India of that time.
Yes. And so two things about this. One is that I think while today's generation focus on the current Jugalbandi of Modi and Amit Shah, and as you say, our parents' generation focus on Vajpayee and Advani, their parents' generation look at yet another Jugalbandi of Hindu nationalism, which is Shyam Prasad Mukherjee and Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Absolutely. It's the same dynamic. Hindu nationalism is both a movement as well as a party seeking governance, and as a consequence, you need somebody who's a parliamentary face and you need somebody who can get the cadre together. To give you one example, the CAA, right, the Citizenship Amendment Act, might seem very new and might seem particular to Narendra Modi. It's not. From the 1970s and 80s itself, it was Advani who actually pushed for an idea of CAA and NRC when it came to Assam.
The idea of this Hindu nationalism, is it wrongly perceived by the people who follow the Bharatiya Janata Party today, or is it actually something which through the back doors is being supported by the political dispensation of India of today?
The BJP is a deep consequence of Indian democracy. That in a group-based society, if you introduce elections, you don't get Indians who are converted to individuals with interest. You don't get Switzerland. You just get more identity politics, right? And this is what the consequence looks like. So the Jugalbandi is an organizational ideology of the BJP, and that's what makes it different.
You have mentioned in the opening of your book a chapter from 1995
Yes.
from the Mumbai rally,
Yes.
where it was unexpectedly announced by Advani that not him but Vajpayee ji will be the prime ministerial
right.
candidate for the next
That's
elections.
right.
Now, when it is perceived as an act of putting party first, which it was, when it comes to today, is the party becoming parallels with Modi and Shah? Ki Modi Shah hai to party hai, varna aur koi nahi hai.
Look, it's a fair question, right? That is allowed to happen by the RSS, for example, because Modi and Amit Shah win. As I said, teamwork and elections are the two central themes of Hindu nationalism, right? Modi and Amit Shah are bringing home the bread every day. They're bringing home the chapati and rice every day. Once they stop doing that, then this question becomes important, that when they start, this is the question you ask in Congress, that look, if dynasty brings you votes, of course you will support the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty. Absolutely. The puzzle right now is that the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty is not bringing votes. Why is the Congress still supporting them? Both Nehru and Patel have a lot of agreements, but they disagree on the nature of the RSS. More generally, I think Nehru has a deep suspicion that the Hindu majority religion will take over the state. So I don't want to call him anti-Hindu because I think that's wrong. But certainly Nehru did not have this worry that Islam would take over the state, because after partition, Muslims are 13% of the population. But Hindus are 80%, right? Nehru's argument was that, look, I am a Hindu, right? And Hindus are a majority. So if I cannot reform Hinduism, then who can, right? that has been held against him by and from then itself, right? That it's not the Gandhian idea of India, which apart from the Muslim question the RSS agrees with, right? Village republics, etc. But it's the post-independence idea of Nehru that they want to criticize. You know, an interesting point is they criticize Nehru a lot. They never criticize his daughter. Have you noticed that? The Prime Minister Modi is closest to in terms of style is Indira Gandhi. I think where liberal critics and left liberal critics of the BJP are inaccurate, especially today, is it's not a casteist party, right? It wasn't originally an upper caste party in terms of its composition, but from the beginning itself, it had an imagination of Hinduism that also included all castes. At the same time, unlike traditional Hinduism, it is much more critical of Islam and much more intolerant about strands of Islam that are not practiced in India. We are living in India today where for the first time, you have a backward caste prime minister and a Dalit president. And it is the reign of the BJP.